Okay, graphing linear equations. Now remember what a linear equation is. A linear equation is one where the powers of the x and y's, or just x's, whatever, is to the first power. So how do we graph these? Well, here's what we do. Go let x be 0. Solve for y. So if x is 0, I go put a 0 up here, move it across, that's still 5, so y is 5. So I have the point x is 0, y is 5. Then let y be 0. If I go put a 0 for y, move it across, I still have a 5, so x is 5. So when y is 0, x is 5. Now listen to this. This is what confuses students sometimes. Then you make up your own number that you want to let x be equal to. Just make up a number. You've already used 0. So here in this example we're using a 2 for the x. Go put a 2 there. Move it across. Subtract it from 5. So y ends up being 3. When you have 3 different points, and this is considered a point right here. When x is 0, y is 5. When x is 2, y is 3. When x is 5, y is 0. Now let's go plot those. When x is 0, that's here. When x is 0, y is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I plot that point and label it 0, 5. Then I come back and do 2, 3. Come over 1, 2, and up 1, 2, 3. Label it. X is 2, y is 3. Third point, 5, 0. Come over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 0, which means you stay right there. Label it. Now take your ruler, straight edge, and draw a line through those 3 points. Now many people put arrows at the end of the line to say that that line goes forever and ever and ever in both directions. Okay? Now, while we're on this picture, let's look at rise and run. Okay, so if I take this point right here and then this point, how much does it change in the x direction? Well, it's right here. It moves over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the run is 5. And if I start here and go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the rise is 5. So look right underneath the drawing and you will notice the word slope. Slope, we'll talk about a whole lot more, is the rise over the run. The rise over the run. It's how much it slopes, how much it changes. Like your rooftop in many houses is like a 1 to 3. Means it goes up 1 foot for every 3 feet run. The top number is the rise and the bottom number is the run. On some of these very, very large houses with huge roofs, sometimes that'll be a 1 to 1, like this one is. For every 5 feet this way, it's 5 feet this way, or a ratio of 1 to 1. And that's slope. Now, if it slopes back this direction, if your line is sloping like this, pointing this way, or this way, or this way, or this way, or this way, then it's a negative slope. A negative slope. If it's going this way, in any direction kind of going off like that, then it's a positive slope. And we'll talk about this some more. All right. Now let's look at the next example. Number 2. Here we're given y is equal to a minus 2x. All right, so what do we say? We let x be 0. So if I put a 0 right there, 0 times a minus 2 is 0, so y is 0. So there's the first point. Now, this type of problem, when we let y be 0, we get x to be 0, and it's the same point. So in this case, we've got to make up two other numbers. So here we go. We're going to let x be 1. So I go put a 1 where the x is, and y is a minus 2. Make up another number for x. If I put a minus 2 there, I get y is equal to 4. You get to make up any numbers you want to. Keep the numbers small so that they'll fit on your graph, all right? All right. Now we plot those. 0, 0. So we get 0, 0. Label it. 1 minus 2. So x is 1, y is a minus 2. Label it. X is a minus 2, y is equal to 4. Label it. Then draw your line through those 3 points. Now the reason you need 3 points is because with 2 dots, if you miss one and connect them, you miss the line completely. But if you do 3 points and they lie on the same straight line, then you're okay. You've got it correct. All right, notice this slope here is right here. We'll just use this. Minus 2 run and up 4. So our slope is the y over the x from 0, 0. Notice that would be 4 over a minus 2, so that slope would be a minus 2. Well, if you use this one, top one is a minus 2 over run, which is 1. That's also a minus 2. So you get the same number for the slope, a minus 2. Now notice this is the way to do these is to go find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. The way you do that is you let x be 0, and that, whatever this comes out, is the y-intercept. Then you let y be 0, and wherever that is the x-intercept. In this case, they're the same. Now, previous example, if you look back on your notes, not on the tape, you'll notice when x is 0, y is 5. That's the y-intercept. When y was 0, x is equal to 5. That's the x-intercept. Okay, let's look now at example 3 and 4 and 5. So let's look at 3. This one says x equals 3. Now to me, this is what you just need to memorize. Don't be trying to figure anything out. I'll explain some of the thinking, but you just memorize this. If you have x equals to 3, x equals to 5, x equals to 2, x equals to any number, then it's a vertical line. It's a vertical line over at x equals 1, 2, 3. So if you have x equals 3, you just come here and draw a vertical line. If x equals 5, you come right here, draw a vertical line. You don't have to label those points in there unless you want to. You don't have to have that chart. Okay? But what that chart says is this. If x is equal to 3, I don't care what y is. When y is 1, x is 3. When y is 2, x is 3. When y is 4, x is 3. When y is 7, x is 3. When y is 0, x is 3. So when y is 0, x is 3. Y is 1, x is 3. Y is 2, x is 3. And that's the graph of a vertical line. Now, the slope on this one is a vertical line. Did you hear that? If they say, what's the slope of x equals 3, the answer is a vertical line. If the problem says, what is the slope of x equals 3, the answer is a vertical line. Now, some teachers are going to tell you no slope. The textbook is going to tell you no slope. That's not necessarily a correct way of saying it. The best answer is it's a vertical line crossing the x-axis at whatever value this number is. Because it does have a slope. The slope is straight up and down. Okay, let's go to the next example where y is equal to a number and there's no x in the equation. So let's memorize this. If you have y equals to a number, then the answer is a horizontal line. Okay. If y equals a number, there's no x in the problem, then it's a horizontal line. And whatever this value is, minus 2, is where the line is drawn, at y equals minus 2. If you had y is equal to 4, then it would be a vertical, horizontal line up here at y equals 4. Now, the slope on this one is said to be 0. And the reason is the rise is 0. Rise over run is slope. The rise is 0. It's not going up or down. So the rise is 0 over the run. So 0 over a number, not 0, is 0. So the slope of a vertical line is, the slope of a horizontal line is 0, and the slope of x equals to a number is a vertical line, or no slope, if that's the way your teacher wants to call it there. Special cases, just know them. Just know them, just memorize them. Don't waste your time in doing any other things on these. Okay, so now let's look at example 5. Example 5, 2x minus 3y equals 6. All right, so here's we make our chart. If we let x be 0, then that's 0. Moved across is still 6. A minus 3 divided into 6 is a minus 2. So when x is 0, y is a minus 2. So I'll go plot that. X is 0, y is a minus 2. All right, then I let y be 0. If I let y be 0, solve for x, I get 3. So when y is 0, x is 3. I go plot that. If you're correct with these values, then you can just draw the line, and there it is. But don't take a chance, okay? Make up another number. When x is 1, put a 1 in there, that's 2. Move across is 4. Divided by minus 3 is a minus 4/3. When x is 1, y is a minus 1 1/3. That's about right. There's a minus 1, 1 1/3. So you're probably right. Now, notice here, our slope is, rise is 2, run is 3. The slope is positive 2 over 3. All right. Now, let's look at some more examples. Okay, let's just keep talking some more about slope and equations of lines, all right? So, looking at this graph, if I know this point right here, which looks like it's a minus 3 and 1.8 or 0.6 or something like that, and over here looks like something like 2.5 and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Now, the slope of a line is how much does it change in the y direction from this point to this point. In other words, count up from this up to this point, this value up to this point on the y-axis. That's the vertical change. Well, how do you get that? Well, simply do this. Subtract this y minus this y. So the rise, the vertical change, is the y minus the y. The vertical change is the y value of a point minus the y value of another point on the line. That's the rise. That's the vertical change. Now the run is how far it's changing from here over to here. Or in other words, it's this x minus this x. So right underneath that drawing, over to the right of the line underneath that, you see it says m. That's the letter that most textbooks are going to use for slope. M is equal to rise over run. It's the y minus the y over the x minus the x. Now notice I did not say y sub 2 minus y sub 1. What that means is this. I'm going to do this y minus this y. If I do it that way, then I must start with this x minus this x. I can still get the same answer if I do this y minus this y over this x minus this x. So forget about the 1s and 2s. It simply says the y minus the y over the x minus the x. At the beginning must be the y and the x of the same point. All right, so now let's look at example 1. All right, find the slope of the line through these 2 points. Okay, minus 1, 2, and 3, 5. Okay, well, what it says then is I subtract y from y and x from x. So I'm going to subtract the y minus the y, 5 minus 2, over the x minus the x. 3 minus a minus 1. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus a minus 1 is 3 plus 1, 4. The slope of this is 3, 4. The slope of this line is a positive 3, 4. Checks out. It's positive. It is positive. Now then, I could have used 2 minus 5 over minus 1 minus 3. Watch, 2 minus 5 would be a minus 3. Over a minus 1 minus 3 is a minus 4. I would have a minus 3 over a minus 4, same answer. Same answer. Just the catch is that whichever y that you use first, you must use that x first on the bottom. Okay, let's look at the next example. Okay, looking at the graph, we have point minus 5, minus 4, 5, and minus 2, 1. So we're given those 2 points, and it says find the slope of that. So it's the y minus the y, that's 4, over the x minus the x. That's a plus 2. So it's 4 over let me do it one more. 5 minus 1 is 4 over minus 4 minus a minus 2 is a minus 2. So 4 divided by minus 2 is minus 2. Now the notes, they do it this way. They do 1 minus 5 and minus 2 minus a minus 4. So they get a minus 4 on top and a plus 2 on the bottom. Same answer as doing the plus 4 on the top and a minus 2 on the bottom. Now we get a negative slope, a minus 2 for the slope, So the notes talk about decreasing. It means the line is sloping back to the left. Okay, so that's how you do slope of a line. Subtract the y from the y over the x from the x. All right, looking at the next example, y is equal to 2. Okay, so what it says is we'll pick 2 points on here. We'll let x be 3 and y is 2. X is minus 1, y is 2. So what's the slope? Well, it's the y minus the y. That's 0. Y minus y is 0. 3 minus a minus 1 is 4. 0 over 4 is 0. Slope is 0. It doesn't make any difference. If I take this point, x is 1, y is 2. X is minus 10, y is 2. When you subtract the y's, you get 0 on the top over a non-zero number on the bottom. Therefore, the slope is 0. All right? Now let's take this example. X equals 1. Okay? Now, x equals 1 is 1, 1, and 1 minus 1. Now, slope is y, which is 1 minus a minus 1. So that's 2 over 0. So if you get a non-zero number over 0, then it's a vertical line. Vertical line. Cannot divide by 0, so we don't have any solution to that. But the solution is vertical line. Okay? Vertical line. All right, let's look at the last 3 examples. So we'll try to look at 5, 6, and 7. And what this is this is another way of graphing and working with the problem. And that's this. If we have the equation y equals 7x plus 3, if we have the equation y, nothing in front of the y, equals a number in front of the x, and then plus or minus a number. This is called a slope-intercept. What this says is this is the slope, 7 over 1. Now if you have a whole number there, the slope is 7 over 1, 4 over 1, 3 over 1, which means the rise is 7, the run is 1. All right? Then we have the number sitting out there is where it crosses the y-axis. Where it crosses the y-axis. So what that says, if I'm graphing that, is I could come down here on my graph and where y is 3. So wherever the origin is here, I would go up 1, 2, 3. Let me move this down. All right. So I have, from the origin, I have 1, 2, 3. And from that point, I go over 1, up 7, and draw the line. All right, so whatever's in front of the x is the slope of the line. Whatever's out there as a constant is where it crosses the y-axis. And to graph that, you still can use your 3 points. Let x be 0, find y. Let y be 0, find x. Let x be, make up a number, find y. Plot the 3 points. Or you can have it, and this is the best way nowadays. This is the better way nowadays than this down here. And the reason for that is with graphing calculators, what you must do to put it in the calculator, you must have it y equals. And then whatever y is equal to, you type that into the calculator. So this is becoming the more modern way of writing equations of lines is y equals something times x plus or minus a number. The number is where it crosses the y-axis. The number in front of the x is its slope. All right? Now let's look at number 7 a little more closely. So we have that equation, 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. And we could graph that with our 3 points. Let x be 0, let y be 0, let x be something, find y. Or we can take the equation and solve for y. So let's take the equation and solve for y. Moving the 2 across, we get 3y is equal to 6 minus 2x. Then dividing by 3, 3 into 6, 3 into the 2x. So rewriting it, we have y is equal to minus 2/3 x plus 3. Thus the slope is a minus 2/3 and the y-intercept is 3. All right, so let's look at this now. It says that what I'll do is draw me my x-y axis. Okay? The y-intercept is 3, so I'll come up here 1, 2, 3. And the slope is a minus 2/3. Negative means it goes back this way. Okay, the run is 3, so I'll come back 1, 2, 3, and go up 1, 2. And I'll draw that line. Okay, let's go back and look at number 5, and I'll get a pen here and make this a little more clear maybe. Okay, a while ago on this one I said what we have is we draw our XY axis. We start at 0. The y-intercept's 3, so we go up 1, 2, 3. So it's crossing there. And the slope is over 1 up 7. And we draw our line. And it's positive, positive 7. Okay, I hope this helps you do several things. Number one is, how do you graph a line? Well, you just make up numbers for x, solve y. Or you can keep using this method right here. Solve for y, and then use slope and intercept. Another thing to remember, if you have an equation x equals 5, no y in it, x equals 5, vertical line. If you have y equals 4, no x in it, horizontal line. And then slope. Memorize what slope is. Slope is y minus y over x minus x. Okay, hopefully this is sufficient for you if you'll work some of the sample problems in the notes.